So, I actually really wanted to use Halo Infinite for this gameplay just because the new season's out and I've not been on to try the new maps out, and from what I've heard from people, the new maps are pretty damn good. So yeah, maybe for the next story time there'll be some Halo Infinite gameplay, but in the meantime you're seeing some Halo Combat Evolved, because I thought since I had this gameplay on my PC and I've never really used it, I thought I'd try it out for this video. So let me know what you guys think of Halo CE's gameplay, and maybe there'll be some more in the future. But today we're back with another life story, and I'm actually not sure when you'll be seeing this video, to be honest with you, but hopefully it should be fairly soon. And this one is a particularly interesting one. I feel like it's very entertaining to listen to, and you guys can definitely learn something from it. So don't be like 15-year-old, maybe, wait, was I 15? I must have been. Yeah, don't be like 15-year-old Quinn. Wait, no, I'd have been 16. Fucking hell, I'm terrible at maths. But yeah, don't be like 16-year-old Quinton. Don't be a fucking idiot. So essentially, it was an extremely hot day in the UK, and obviously there's kind of like a tradition in our town where everyone goes down to the river when it's really hot, like all the kids anyway. And we all decided to go down to the river and just chill out there. So I started walking into town, and I meet up with my 3 of my good friends, including, of course, the person that's in every single fucking one of these life stories. You guessed it, Calvin. But as I mentioned, it's basically like a youth tradition at this point in our town where every summer everyone flocks down to the river to go bridge jumping, and I've made some pretty good memories from doing that activity, to be honest. Basically, we all go down to the river, and there's like a bridge over the river which takes us to the fields, and that bridge, it's quite high up. I'd probably say it's maybe like 15 feet tall, something like that, and people jump off there into the river, and overall it's a pretty good laugh. But yeah, I obviously meet up with my good friends and we walk into town. We arrive at the bridge at probably about 12 p.m. I was about to say a.m. there, but we arrive at about 12 p.m. and begin to have a few goes jumping into the river. Unfortunately, I didn't at first, because I was trying to convince one of my friends to do a backflip into the river, which he eventually did, so it kind of worked out for the best, and he's quite good at it, so it's quite fun to watch. But at this point, we noticed the arrival of someone we're going to call Jimmy, and he starts walking up to us on the phone, in air quotes, where he is apparently talking to a co-worker and repeatedly tells him to fuck off, and strangely of all, threatening to shove a stripper pole up his ass. Yeah, I'm not making this up. This guy genuinely said this, and it's just so fucking strange. Well, fucking sorry about that, lads. I had to cut the video there because my throat was literally dying, so I had to go and get a bottle of water, but we should be good to go now. It has been slightly warm in the UK right now, and by slightly warm, I mean it's warm enough for the end of winter, start of spring, and I'm quite happy about that. I'm very much looking forward to it starting to warm up again, because I'm really sick of the cold at this point in time. But where were we? Oh yes, about the fucking stripper pole up the ass, which is a bit bizarre, but we think nothing of this despite him constantly lurking around us and retracing his steps so that he stays on the bridge. But eventually Jimmy hangs up and starts talking to us randomly out of the blue. This guy just invites himself into the conversation, apparently, telling us how much for queer his co-worker is and that he wishes he could leave his job, all to a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds who have literally never met this guy in their entire lives. So that makes perfect sense. But we humour him and we talk to him for a bit, because we thought if we did for a while, he would fuck off eventually. But of course, he didn't, and it would have been an extremely boring story time if the story had just ended there. Say, for example, I say that, fucking roll credits, fucking cue the outro, which doesn't really make sense for this channel because I don't have an outro on literally any of my videos, so how the fuck would that work? But hey ho, we get back to the story now. So we end up hanging around with this guy for a good few hours, and eventually some of my brother's mates rock up and we say hi to them, exchange small talk before they go and chill at a different part of the river. Eventually Jimmy chimes up and says, it's getting a bit dead in here, lads. Shall I go and get you lads some ciders, beers, etc.? And stupidly, we all agree to this and tell Jimmy to get us a crate of beer and a crate of Strongbow dark fruits. Now, I tried to do the voice of him, but he had a very thick Scouse accent, so yeah, it's kind of hard to do. And apparently Scousers work up near me. I mean, we're not too far away from Liverpool, but it's not like an everyday occurrence. Maybe in like the bigger cities, yeah, but not around my town anyway. My town's literally in the buttfuck middle of nowhere. But as I said, we all stupidly agree to this. But Calvin and my other good friend agree to go with him to get the booze on the condition that they went half on a pack of fags between my mate and Jimmy. And soon they all disappear off into the tree line with our money. Like, we handed them like 20 quid each, which is a bit of a fucking rip-off, to be honest, so we kind of got scammed here. But I was 16, I was a stupid cunt when I was 16, so what can you do? Now, if this happened today, it would have been an immediate red flag, considering this guy was probably in his early 20s, maybe like 21, 22, and trying to buy for like 15, 16-year-olds a load of alcohol. And with hindsight, we probably should have fucked right off then and not bothered giving in the money, but this is where the story starts to get fucking weird. Now, a bit of backstory about Jimmy. Jimmy has a reputation around our town as being one of the local weirdos, which we only found out after this occurrence. And when I was talking to some of my brother's mates again, when they were around, obviously with my brother, I was telling them this story, and they said, "Oh, you mean Jimmy? Yeah, he's a right fucking weirdo, isn't he?" Basically, he waited around our high school to walk home with year 7s and try to be the mate, which, I don't know, that's just fucking a bit weird if you ask me. But not even a bit weird, that's very fucking weird. But he'd also buy them alcohol and fags and all sort, which is probably why literally all of my school back in the day smoked by the time they were in year 9. My brother used to say that he used to try and walk home with some of his friends too. Just a quick little PSA, my brother was 12 at this point. And actually, I have another story about Jimmy. This is just popping into my mind right now, but I do have another story about Jimmy because we encountered him 2 more times after this, and basically he just got twatted. But yeah, Jimmy got twatted by some random guys that we didn't know, and apparently he like tried touching up one of their boys or something. Which I may tell that story at some point. It could be quite entertaining. But around 30 minutes later, they return with alcohol and fags, and we end up just chilling out with this guy for maybe like another 45 minutes. But before he says like, "Oh, you lads stay here, I'll be back in a minute," and disappears down the stairs at the side of the bridge, goes off and starts talking to my brother's mates, which is a bit of a fucking red flag right there, if I do say so myself. But obviously, we didn't know this at the time. We only found out later because we passed my brother's mates on the way home, and they did say like, "Oh, this guy came down for a bit and was chatting to us." And this guy was like, when he was gone, was like being a bit flirty with some of my brother's mates, so like 12, 13-year-old boys. So yeah, that's kind of a bit fucking weird. So obviously me and the lads stay on top of the bridge, wondering where the fuck Jimmy went, while obviously smoking the fags and drinking. Quite some time passes and we start to think he's fucked off, but all of a sudden, of course, he rocks up again, and this is where it gets really fucking weird. So, Jimmy asked my mate who stayed with me on the bridge while Calvin and the other lad went to go and get booze and fags with Jimmy, and he asked him to spread his legs so he could sit in between and relax, which is a bit of a fucking weird statement, but it's really fucking weird on its own, but it doesn't end there. All of a sudden, Jimmy gets another quote-unquote phone call from his boss. After finishing on the phone, he comes back and speaks to us again, where he says that they have run out of rags on his dad's farm, which is apparently what he does, and he needs a new rag, and if we had one. And of course, we all reply no, but then Jimmy asks if he can use one of my friend's boxer shorts, which of course he refuses, but offers him a spare pair of socks that he doesn't use at all and has never worn once. But Jimmy then says that he can't use socks and specifically needs worn men's boxer shorts for a rag. My mate obviously tells him that he's being really fucking weird, to which Jimmy replies that he is only joking. And honestly, at this point it started to get really uncomfortable, so I took Calvin aside and was just like, right bro, we need to fucking bail here. So I told him my plan, which was the genius idea to basically do what he was doing and fake a phone call to get away from this guy and play it from like the ringtones section on my phone. So I basically just went into my settings, went on the ringtones, found my ringtone and pressed it, so it basically made the noise my phone makes when it's ringing, and I pretend to pick up and, you know, pretend that there's a barbecue going on at mine and that everyone's invited and they can all come back, obviously except for Jimmy, and everyone agrees and we all start to gather our stuff up and begin to start the walk home, when Jimmy says, "Guys, where are you going? I'll walk you all to your houses." To which we decline and walk briskly away. We get to Boo's, which is obviously a supermarket chain here in the Northwest, and say goodbye to one of my mates as he cycles off, and then my other unnamed friend, I guess we should call him at this point, starts to walk his way back home as he lived closer to town and needed to take a different route. So me and Calvin set off and start to walk through town. It's still pretty fucking hot at this point, and as we are crossing the bridge out of town, we run into Jimmy yet again, and he says, "Guys, where are you going? You want to come back to mine? My dad's making like fucking ravioli or something." At that moment, me and Calvin just take off in like a speed walk until we get to the turn off for the detour route home, which we took because we thought since he could drive, he would try and follow us in the main road, because obviously this guy's a fucking weirdo. You don't go specifically asking for men's boxer shorts, which I find really fucking weird. Like, oh yeah, can't use socks, can't use anything else, but I need worn men's underwear. Makes fucking sense, doesn't it? We get to the bridge and we take off until we get to this detour, and we take the detour. At this point, the sun is going down. The sun is going to town? Fucking hell, Jesus. But yeah, basically the sun is going down, and two slightly drunk 15 and 16-year-olds are navigating country roads in the light of the setting sun. Damn, that's a pretty fucking good imagery. Until eventually we reach Calvin's and I say goodbye to him as I continue my walk. So it's probably about a mile from Calvin's to mine, and or maybe even a bit less actually, but it's probably about a mile, I'd say roughly. But where Calvin lives, it's where the detour that we took joins with the main road, and obviously that means I have to walk along the main road if I want to get home. And yes, I did really want to get home that night, and I literally practically sprinted home, and fortunately I didn't see him until like roughly 2 years later, as I said, where he said some strange shit to us once again. But we thankfully got away really quickly and didn't fall for his shit again. So I don't think that's like a really interesting story. However, there is the third time where he got twatted, so that was quite funny, and I may tell that at some point. But moral of the story, guys, if you're a kid, don't get creepy guys to buy you alcohol, because usually these fuckers have some bad intentions. And thankfully, Jimmy got what he deserved in the next story that I will tell related to him. So that should be good. All was well and ended well at the end of this story. But yeah, moral of the story, don't fucking get older guys to buy you alcohol, because these guys, they're fucking perverts, man. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's video here. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like and subscribe. Make sure you turn on post notifications so you never miss a single video, or alternatively, you can join the Discord server as a link down below. But anyway, this has been QuinntonTV, and I'll see you all in the next one.